All right, Competitive Edge listeners, what is going on? I am so fired up about today's episode. And this is a self episode, or a podcast selfie, as I like to call them, which means it's just going to be me and you. But today I just had something on my heart that I had to tell you. In fact, I was just skating around San Diego. It's one of the things that I do when I'm having a writer's block or I just need to just getting bored or whatever. I just go out and I exercise my physiology and I just kind of like get into a new state. And this just really came to me, and it just is, this might be controversial. A lot of people might think this is really weird, but I'm in the business of sharing things that I think are going to help people and work, not pleasing everybody. So I wanted to share it with you today. The message of this episode is called How to Be the Happiest Person in the World. And before I dive into it, I really just want to ask you a big favor. I'm going to start off this episode probably midway through saying a few things. And some people might feel like, oh, I've heard this before. I know this is coming. And they might stop listening. And I just ask you to please stick with it, because I want to share some things over the course of this message that are going to be a subtle, different take on some of the things that you've heard before. And really, the reason that this is on my heart is over the past 2 days, a few things have happened. I have a friend out visiting me right now, staying with me, and he's trying to figure out a lot of things in his life. And, you know, we were talking about gratitude and gratefulness, and he asked me what being grateful looks like. And I shared something with him, and I think it's really changing his perspective in a positive way. That same night, I was talking to another girlfriend, and she's not in the best place in her life. And she's feeling less than perfection and complete joy. And we had a similar conversation. And she just was like, wow, this is so amazing. This is so easy. And then that same night, I was at a party, and this girl who I know came up to me and was like, dude, you're glowing. Like, what is up with you? Like, you're always so happy. You're always in this like peak state, so happy and excited. And I told her, and she really just resonated with what I had to say. And, you know, after all these things, I just felt like I need to just tell everybody this. I really do, because it can really change your life in such a positive way. And if you're happy, not only are you going to do the things that you want with more zeal, you're going to be more effective. You're going to be a better leader. People are going to want to be around you. It's just a better way to live. So let's get into this. And I think I really want to start off by saying, you know, the first thing to realize is that happiness is an inside job. I think everything really is an inside job. Our ability to do hard things, resiliency, love for others, love for our life, everything, it's all an inside job. I mean, why are rich people, some of the richest, most powerful people in the world, really sad and empty, and some of the poorest people are so happy? It doesn't make sense if you look at a lot of things that our society aspires to. But what it really comes down to is that people choose to take an empowering perspective on their situation, and some people don't. And the people that don't choose to take a perspective that allows them to be joyous, happy, they have a really tough time just doing life in a way that is just flowing with joy. And the funny thing is that, you know, all of our schools, all these things that we do to educate ourselves, teach us how to write better, teach us how to be better marketers, teach us how to make more money, all these things. It's just really funny that no school, or at least no conventional school, teaches us how to develop our perspective and teaches our ability to have an empowering perspective no matter what life throws at us. I mean, the closest thing to this in many instances is things that you'd find in religion or philosophy. But unfortunately, a lot of these things turn people off because many of these institutions have been convoluted by some person running an organization or an institution, and they just reflect something different than just pure goodness at the end of the day when they encounter different people. And for me, like, I actually came back to learning this through an institution, but I think regardless if you are religious or you're atheist or, you know, you believe that the coach of the Green Bay Packers is God, like whatever. Like you can still use this and it works in your life. Now, when I started to realize that happiness, personal power, our ability to really do anything was an inside job, one of the first things I did was start developing a gratefulness practice. And I know a lot of people have heard like being grateful is a key to happiness. It is, but the way that I was doing it was ineffective, and it might be the way that you're approaching it. I started out by taking a piece of paper, and every day I'd write down like 3 things I'm grateful for in this little notebook. And I've even blogged about this. Maybe people that have followed me for a while might know this. I write down 3 things I was grateful, write down a few other things. And when I started off, this was really good. It was like, wow, I'm really kind of like externalizing things that I'm grateful for. This is prompting me to be very mindful and conscious of just like how fortunate I am. But that got pretty mundane pretty quickly. And unfortunately, even though I'd start my day by practicing gratitude, it wouldn't really stick with me sometimes. It wouldn't just be like pervasive with me at all times. And I'd forget these things. And the practice became really boring after a while. I felt like I was going through the motions, writing down what I was grateful for every day, writing down the same things often. And it just wasn't really like that impactful, or the power wasn't lasting. Well, I found something that I've been doing for the past 6 weeks that the power is lasting. It is amazing. And I'm really excited to share it with you right now. And this all came about, honestly, because of a rekindling with my spiritual life and really learning how to pray with fervor. Now, I don't want people to get freaked out or angry or whatever when I say the word pray, because this can really just mean, you can really just take this as I learned how to affirm. I learned how to say things with passion, enthusiasm every single day. And what I started to do was I started to wake up, and in the mornings, part of my routine, I would just, after I was done meditating and then doing some reading, I would stand up and I'd open my arms and I'd make a big body motion. And I would just cry out for all the things that I'm grateful for, that I'm so blessed to have in my life. And I do the same thing every single night before I go to bed. I would just cry out like all the amazing things that are in my life. And I think that like one of the things that I've talked about before, and this is something I've learned from Tony Robbins, this is something that is backed by science, actually. There's a bunch of studies that show this, that when you enact your physiology, it's much easier for you to create new neural pathways that change your beliefs. And our beliefs drives everything. They drive what we do. They drive how we feel. They drive how we approach any situation. And so when you really feel an emotion when you say something, that feeling is more likely to stick. It's literally going to change the way that you believe, the way that you believe about yourself, the beliefs you have about your life. It's incredibly more powerful than just writing something down when you actually say something with enough enthusiasm and fervor that you believe it. And what Tony Robbins taught me is that we can get ourselves into a peak state and really like rewire belief systems by changing 3 things: our physiology, our language, and our focus. And I used to do this, and I still do it sometimes with incantations to really have empowering mindsets, but I didn't really approach gratefulness and gratitude with this same strategy of enacting all 3 things at once. And since I've started to, I really have to say I've just been more joyous than ever, more happy, just completely abundance-minded, and it's amazing. So let me tell you, like, I was telling my friend who asked me, like, how do you be grateful? Like, what does that even look like? How can you be grateful every day? This guy's got an awesome life. Like, he is so talented in so many ways. But I think like a lot of people, what he's done is fallen into the trap of taking a relative perspective instead of a global perspective. So he's an entrepreneur, hasn't sold $1 billion company, has had very successful companies, hasn't sold $1 billion company. Maybe some of the people he interacts with doesn't have a Ferrari, doesn't have whatever, all these things that we aspire to have for whatever reason. And so he looks at the surroundings of a situation and go, wow, I'm really not doing that well. Like, why aren't things working out for me? Why aren't things falling in my lap? But in reality, he lives in the best country in the world. He has people in his life that care about him. He wakes up every day in a warm bed. He has a place to call his home. He gets to have good food. He has all of these things that people would kill for around the world. Yet that's not what he's focusing on. And because he's not focusing on it, he's not taking an empowering perspective for his life. So, I urged the other people I talked to just really take a global perspective. And let me just give you an example of what my morning sounds like that gets me fired up, loving life, and just stays with me throughout the day. It's not like writing down like I'm grateful for whatever. It's, man, I am so grateful that I am alive, that I am breathing, that I have another day where I have an opportunity to change people, that I slept in a warm bed, that I have a family that loves me, that I have friends, that I have people in my life who are there to support me. And even if I don't, I know that I have the skills that I've been given to cultivate those people into my life. I have my health. I'm standing right now on my 2 feet with both my arms wide open because I have a healthy body. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you for this amazing opportunity to just wake up again today and impact other people's lives. Thank you for the coffee that I'm about to have that I enjoy so much. Thank you for this particular activity that happened yesterday that I didn't even anticipate. Now, this is just an example of some of the things that I'll say, and I'm not going to get too deep into that because I don't know, it might make people uncomfortable for me to start specifically thanking on to thousands of people listening, thinking about particular people in my life. But I want you to just see the difference of what fervent gratitude looks like. Standing there with your chest open, your arms open, just in complete fervor when you say these things. And guess what? Like, I do feel like the luckiest person in the world and the happiest person in the world. And even if you don't have those things, you have things in your life that are amazing. If you're listening to this right now and you're in the United States, you're in like the top, 1 to 3% of luckiest people in the world. Like, gosh, there's so much that we can just be grateful for. And it's so easy to look at what everybody else has and take relative comparisons. And that really just clouds our effectiveness. It clouds our ability to be happy. It clouds our ability to be leaders. And it's just like such an ineffective strategy and way to do life. So what I'm trying to say here is that regardless of religion that if following a religion, following a philosophy, whatever, everybody can get up every single morning, every single evening, and just declare how grateful they are for whatever things they have in their life. These don't have to be profound. It could be that you have cold water in your fridge that you love, or iced coffee, or just like a friend or a dinner next week that you're looking forward to. It doesn't have to be like that you have some amazing thing. It can be anything. But what you start to do is really just develop a belief and mindset that you are the happiest, luckiest person in the world, that you are incredibly blessed, that you have abundance flowing over you and your life. And, I am luckier than most, but it's not because I've been given a lot of things, and I have. It's because I believe internally that I've been given so much. And that is what allows me to be happy and joyous and abundant minded. Because there's a whole lot of people out there that have a whole lot more than me, but don't feel this way because they're not focused on the right things. So I just wanted to share this with you. And I wanted, and I can even outline in a blog post that's going to accompany this in detail how to do these things, but it's very simple, and it might feel uncomfortable and it might feel weird. And if you have roommates, do this in the shower. That's oftentimes where I do it. Fortunately, I'm an early bird. People I live with don't get up very early, so I can do this. And nobody's up at 6 a.m. hearing me cry out my grateful just joys and gratitude in my life. And so, do it in the shower, do it outside, do it in a bathroom, do it wherever you need to. And you can pull this out at any time, right? But for me, just waking up, doing this before I go to bed has just resulted in consistent happiness, even in a period and season of my life that is fraught with uncertainty. Like, I'm trying to figure out, this next company that I'm trying to do. I'm like moving all over the place, all of these things that in the past would make me feel very at ease. But I'm not focused on those things. I'm focused on how amazing life is. And I've reconditioned my brain to feel that way by doing this every single day and enacting my physiology, language, and focus at once in an empowering way to think about how amazing life is instead of what I don't have or what I wish I had or what somebody else has. You know, I heard a quote once, and I said this at a bar the other day, and somebody looked like I'm a lunatic, but I don't really care. Like, I care what's effective, what works, and what makes me feel good. Because at the end of the day, like, a high quality life is just one full of high quality emotions. So figure out how to create those, figure out how to do it at a moment's notice, and you will have so much more power than all these other people that, you know, pursue these skill sets that don't really translate to this directly. But, you know, I learned this from somebody, and I'll just never forget it. And it just is such in alignment with this. And it just feeds this, right? This practice feeds this mantra. And it's just trading the expectation. Trade your expectations, surrender your expectations for appreciation. When you do that, you will get a whole lot happier. And when you're a whole lot happier, you will get a whole lot more effective. It's the formula. It is the formula to lead, to love, to live with joy and passion and fervor and zeal. And it works. It really does. So I wanted to share this with you. I wanted to get vulnerable today. And I really encourage you guys to try this. I know it might sound weird to get up, stand, lift your arms open, your palms out, and just affirm how amazing life is and gratitude every single day. But you know what? Like, hey, if you're not willing to trade a little weirdness initially to just unlock just amazing joy and abundant joy in your life, well, maybe you're not interested in winning strategies. Anyways, this was on my heart today. I wanted to share it. And, you know, I really encourage anybody that has any questions on this to email me directly. Email me directly at scott@lifelonglearner. You can comment on the blog post that accompanies this. And I just thank you for listening. I thank you for listening. I thank you for having an open mind to this stuff. And I'm really looking forward to sharing more of these types of ideas and tools that you can use in your life to really just live a life that people ask you questions, why and how are you like this? Because when those questions are starting to flow, that's when you know you're doing something right. All right. Well, thanks again. And I will see you on the next episode of The Competitive Edge. Thanks for listening to another episode of The Competitive Edge. If you enjoyed the ideas in this episode and want access to future conversations, the best thing you can do is subscribe to The Competitive Edge on iTunes. If you haven't done that already, right now is the best time to take care of that and get on board. And while you're there, if you feel like this show has made a positive impact on your day, it'd be great if you could leave us an iTunes review so that more people can find the show. Now, I know we covered a lot in this episode, and there might be a few key ideas or tools that you want to remember. So we went ahead and compiled all of the notes and links mentioned from this conversation for you on lifelonglearner.com. That's life-longlearner.com.